I know most of us reminisce about how things could have been different back in the day, and probably no other subject gets as much attention as sports. And Rodney and I talk about that in this edition of Old Fools Talking Old School.
It just shows the naivety of us. I know we ain't always been exposed to certain things, but some things you got to have some kind of knowledge that it ain't all just peaches and cream. And what I mean by that is everybody ain't gonna make that boy that went number one money. And just like the little girl, she was from down there in Arkansas. Boy, that twang killed me. I was like, oh my God. And she got drafted. I just want to thank, the Lord, which is a good thing, and this and that. He said, now I'll be able to take care of my family. I'm like, honey, you ain't gonna make about $200,000. You ain't. I don't know what family you gonna take care of. You don't barely be able to take care of yourself because you ain't even you're a conglomerate now. By the time taxes and your agent's fee and your players association fee come back, you might not have but 125.
Yeah. Well, that's what they were saying about your girl Caitlin Clark. They were saying the outfit she had on at the draft cost more than her yearly salary.
Yeah.
Of course, now she got that big contract with Nike and stuff like that's gonna pay her some good money.
That's what she's gonna get paid.
Yeah, that's what she's gonna get paid at. But they were saying what she had on cost more than her yearly salary in the WNBA.
But then they want to talk about Dawn Staley, who's got a $20-something million contract because she had on some Gucci stuff when she was coaching there.
Mm-hmm.
See the double standard there. This girl ain't even drew a check. Well, she probably has from them shoes, but she got on. See, there wasn't nothing said about that. But all you can say about Dawn Staley, you can't talk about her 3 championships in 5 years and undefeated season and all of this other stuff. All you talking about is what she got on. They was even talking about in their parade that she came in a Rolls Royce. Well, she make enough money to buy a Rolls Royce.
I heard that.
That pisses me off, man.
Yeah. But I can tell you, I'd rather see Dawn Staley out there in Gucci and any other name brand and go down to people down at the unemployment line and the welfare line, and they got Gucci and all the name. I would much rather see her than that, because you see a whole lot of that too. People who supposedly ain't need state aid and everything, and they fall up in there with Gucci and all that, YSL on and all that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, if there's any place that you think you want to show up, it seems like you ain't got a whole lot, it would be those kind of environment. But you're gonna show up here with your hair did, your nails did,
like
your
they
feet
going out.
did, all that hair in and all the name brand, but you need help. I'd much rather see her in a Rolls Royce and wearing Gucci than those folk. But they show up. They show up.
That's just like what I've been saying all along about that. There's a little sister that coaches down at Texas A&M. Fine little old sucker. She be dressed and she's got the figure to wear that stuff that looks good. And they were complaining about her. They talked about her. And there's another one at Notre Dame, I think it is. But the way they dress, and they, again, it's these damn bigoted ass sports writers. But you see old girl down at LSU looking like a damn Mardi Gras queen with all that old flashy. They don't say nothing about that. And her little assistant coach over there looking like Elvira with all that black and that long hair. You don't say nothing about that. But you talk about this sister because she stacked. Both of them.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
She dressed like she almost going out to the club versus going to a basketball game.
Yes,
and
indeed.
She looked very nice. She accentuates very well.
Yes, indeed. They got another one at Grambling who just got I think it's a D2 or D3 coaching job. Was it Grambling that she left? No, she left Jackson State, and I forget where she's coaching, but she's another one that dresses real nice and looks the part. But you want to criticize them, but you ain't gonna criticize, like I said, and then half of those other ones, hell, they old.
They know they can't. No, that's part of the issue. They can't wear that, and tell you the truth, they don't need to don't need to try to wear that kind of stuff. You
You're
know.
right. You sure right. I'm like, boy, you can't win. Don Staley dresses conservative on the bench with a warm up on, and just because she has a nice jacket, it's ridiculous, man. No matter what you do, they gotta criticize it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the way it's always going to be. That's how they that's how they make their money.
Yep.
It
Yep.
ain't these days. It seems like it's not so much about truth and accuracy. It is about controversy. What can you say to get people stirred up? It just that's just the way things are. Those days of reporting just to report the news, the sports or whatever, now has gotten into its own industry of how much stuff can you come with to try to set yourself apart. And if it takes slandering people, if it takes lying about stuff, it don't matter.
Yep.
It don't matter.
And see, the thing that pisses me off, well, I guess I am sort of a conspiracy theorist, but the thing that trips me out is, remember how when we started kind of getting in the mainstream, uh, when we did what we did, like we used to talk trash, and everybody know that didn't nobody mean it. We talked that talk, and then you were friends after the game. Oh, that was just so horrible. It was just so horrible, and oh, you shouldn't do this, and this and that, and all that good stuff. And then they got us conforming. They just do it sneakily,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And we, it takes more guts to put yourself out on the line, and it don't work out. Then you have to eat humble pie, than to sit there and know you feel that way, but you ain't gonna say nothing because you don't want people to think you look bad. Well, that's a gutless way out to me. If you sure about your abilities, you don't mind putting it out there. But hell, we all eat humble pie sometime. And but now they've gotten it to the point where we don't do it as much now, but they doing it.
Mm-hmm.
They always want to talk about, and who was that? It was some girl that was at, I saw she was at one of the college campuses deals there that they're having right now, a black girl, and she was overweight, and white boys out there calling her, what's her name? The big girl that's the singer.
Uh,
Uh,
I know you're talking about. I can't think of her name.
Man,
Not.
I almost said Lato, but that ain't the one.
Yeah, that ain't.
Fine.
Yeah, that's not what I was about to say too. I can't. I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but they were out here calling her that, you know. But when black folks
Lizzo.
do it, yeah,
Lizzo. Yeah.
Lizzo, yeah. But now we all of a sudden all this uh, 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 being right and having empathy for people, and now they talking about our ass. No, you need to be yourself. Start talking about talk we used to. I mean, look at today. You see the game today, Minnesota and Denver.
No.
That little young boy, Ant Man, went in and dunked on somebody, and he just stared at him. He didn't say nothing, just stared at him. They called a technical foul on him.
Yeah. Yeah. Taunting. They
Yeah,
that's the way they do.
yeah,
And they say that Larry Bird was one of the worst. They
yeah.
said he was one of the worst. People always thought he was sort of this easygoing kind of guy. They said he was one of the worst.
Well, just like I was saying, see, he did it under his breath.
Mm-hmm.
And did all that so he could have that image of being the nice guy and all that kind of thing. And that's what they love. That's what they all do. They get back there and they put on that old face. Oh, it's just the sport and the game, and then get back there in the locker room. We kicked that ass. you know, I'm like, man, stop trying to be like them. Be who we are. We either back it up or we don't. It ain't the end of the world, but don't. To me, anything that black folks do, they want to make it out to be less than or something bad. We've been black folks in the black neighborhood been putting our hands on the throat when we was playing sports and all that. If you choked, you choked. All of
Mm-hmm.
a sudden, that got to be something derogatory because black people were doing it, Hell, it ain't that serious. I mean, what's the difference of showing you choked and saying you choked?
But that, that used to be the way you try to take people out of their game.
There you
You
go.
talk noise to them.
Yes, sir.
That was how you try to take them out of their game. You talk noise, get them riled up to the point they couldn't do nothing. I mean, that's the way we used to do when we'd be on the
You know
on
it.
the on the blacktop. You
You
just be
know it.
talking noise.
That's right. That was just a part of it. If you
Yeah.
can't handle it, get off the court.
Mhm.
But yeah, they done made us think the way we do stuff is just horrible. We got to do it like them. Man, I'm talking about. I remember back in the day playing ball and stuff, and we out there in the hood playing. Hell, everybody was Earl the Pearl Monroe. You get to the high school and want to play. Oh, don't dribble behind your back. Why not? That might be the best move. You want me to play? You want me to dribble it out in front of me so somebody can take it? So,
Yeah,
eh,
that's what I always say about our high school team. You had a bunch of thoroughbreds out there, but all you wanted to do is bring the ball down and sit up,
set up.
bring it
Yeah.
down and set up and run some plays. I said, man,
Yep.
you got track stars out there. Let
Yes,
them
sir.
run the ball. But
Yes, sir.
old school white coaches.
Yes, sir. But then
No,
they want
bring
to
the
get
ball
the
down.
credit. They want to get
Mm-hmm.
the credit when no, if you won, they won you. They won in spite of your ass.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then when they go on somewhere where somebody know what they're doing, but you want to take the credit. Well, yeah, he started right here, and he got. I mean, case in point, I call it like I see it. Dean Smith held Michael Jordan back. But then he held a whole lot of them back. He held Worthy back and all that because he wanted to play that Carolina ball,
Yeah.
you know, and Perkins back and all of them. Them brothers. Then what? Some of it you can write off as maturing and getting better at your game, but not all of them. They could do that there, but you wouldn't let them. But you want to take credit now because they've gone on to the next level and have been able to exploit their talents. So, and I don't care what none of them say. Just from my limited experience playing ball with them, I learned more from playing out there with the brothers on the dirt about playing the game, where there wasn't no restrictions. It's just like in any sport, you got to let the person flow with it. You can't just be up there and be robotic because that's how they play. It's how they
Well, yeah.
dance. One step, two step. You got to have some wiggle to it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you gotta be able to recognize what you got on your team. If you got a team that's slow and methodical and
Yeah,
stuff, yeah, you probably going to play. Or you got, some big men that, ain't gonna really be able to run the court very well, even though in high school, everybody should be able to run the court. But if you got some bigger guys that can't do, I could see that. But I think when you look at the makeup of your team and you see what you got out there, you got to say we got we got to let them out of the corral. You
yeah,
can't keep them pinned up all the time, and that was a thing that I think probably cost our high school team. And I mean, you never know. Hindsight's 2020, but it would have been nice to have been able to see what they could have done if they would have been able to really get out and push the ball versus bringing the ball up and setting up and that kind of thing. But
yeah.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they could have done.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
hell, I've seen it. My sophomore junior year, they walk the ball up the court and make the good pass and pass up a good shot to try to get another shot down low.
Mm,
And
yeah.
then my senior year, this dude came in out of nowhere. We didn't know. The athletic director didn't like the coach we had the year before, so he got rid of him. So he brought this guy in, came in from the Dallas area, one of the best dudes I ever met. And he came in there and he said, "No, we ain't gonna do all of this. If you got a good shot, take it. But you got to know your limitations. If you don't hit that shot, that ain't your shot. Don't take it.
Mhm, mhm.
You know." And he said, "We ain't walking it up the court." He said, "We trying to fill these stands up along with winning." He said, "You get the ball out and go, Rodney. Get it and go." And that's what we did. Man, we had that gym packed. What I think we ended up being like 18-0 before we lost the game. But that was something that people wasn't even used to seeing because for all them years we've been walking the ball up the court. That stayed old. Pass it over here, pass it over there. Every once in a while, I'd break away and go on my own and do some stuff. And then But I had to establish myself because before that, if you did something outside that box, you're gonna get taken out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then nobody want to get taken out because you didn't know when you was gonna get back in. So after that, well, actually, that started my junior year. At that point, I had established myself, so I kind of did what I wanted to do. But the plan was swing the ball. The hell I'm gonna swing it for, and I'm wide open right here. You know, so those coaches, man, they didn't know what the hell they was doing. They were just basically they were teachers that got coaching the duties assigned to them.
Yeah. And that's where it was there. And they were most of them were older coaches, they hadn't been around, the newer games where they were, running the ball more and things of that nature. They were older coaches. That's how they played back in the day.
Yep.
That's how they coached, with these young kids. And like I say, it would have been interesting just to see what they could have done if they had played a little bit more up tempo game. But, and I must admit that was pretty much the way most of the teams in the smaller rural towns and counties played.
Mm-hmm.
That when you went and saw teams like out of Chattanooga and Nashville, like Nashville Pearl and Chattanooga Riverside and Howard, and those teams, you saw a whole different brand of ball. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
even to the point of in the tournament, we go down there and before the girls' game was over, Pearl and Howard and Riverside, the boys' team would come out on the court and walk around the court. We ain't never done nothing like that. You stayed in the locker room, the game was over.
Mm-hmm.
They'd come. I mean, just almost like an intimidation factor. They'd
Yeah.
come out and stuff like that, and it was a whole different game. Of course, when we got to those tournaments, we might make it through the region, the district, but when you got to play in those kind of teams, it was a whole different type of basketball.
Oh, no doubt.
Just simple as that. You had better players, you had bigger, taller, more athletic players, and it just wasn't much of a contest when you got to that level.
Well, see, a lot of those little schools like that, and then the way we were too, we weren't really a little school, but they had this little school mentality until the last 2 years. They would, when those schools that came like from, let's per se, the inner city, they balled. The teams that come out from those little rural places and the rural state of mind places, they were the type to say, well, if you're a short guy, you're a point guard. Well, maybe you wasn't a point guard. Or if you were this tall, you played forward. Or if you was this tall, you played center.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in city school, didn't nobody play nothing. Everybody was handling the ball and up and down the court. Only time that even came into play, maybe if they set up the runner play, which was rare because they was out on the break. But we had that mentality. They was like, man, it's just like growing up, we always knew who the ball players were, and they weren't always on the court for various reasons. Because even this dude that came in my senior year, he called me in the office, Rodney, you're the captain of the team, and I just want to explain to you. He wanted me to handle the rest of the team because we had damn near a whole black team, and of course the hard starting five was black. But he says, I'm gonna have to start. What was that boy's name? I can't think of his name. He said, I'm gonna have to start him. He said, I know he's not a starter, but I said, well, why are you starting him? He said, for what did he say? It was mainly it was business reasons. I can't.
Right.
Yeah. And he just looked at me. I'm like, oh. Oh, public relations. He said it's public
Right.
relations. I said, oh, okay. And but it's sad that even in a high school, that's got to come into play.
Yeah.
Basically, them other folks wasn't gonna come if it wasn't none of them on the team.
I mean, that's the way it was.
Yeah,
You just because there was all those situations like that. When we was in high school, and you wonder, why certain white guys were playing over other black guys, and you knew what it was.
yeah, you knew what
If
it.
it's either the public relations part or because he was somebody's son.
Yeah, well,
You had
a
to
whole
deal with
lot of
those
that.
kind of things.
A whole lot of that. Yeah. As a matter of fact, what it was, he started, but within 5 minutes, he was on the sideline.
Yeah.
And when we started winning, it didn't matter. Then he wouldn't start because we was packing that gym. I'll never forget. We had one of our tournaments over there, and the guy got on the loudspeaker and asked people if they could scoot over. They still had a line of people getting in. Never heard of that before. And
Mm-hmm.
we had a
Mm-hmm.
large gym, man, and they asked people to scoot over. And but winning cures it all. That's what it comes down
Oh yeah. Oh
to.
yeah.
You
It
know.
makes a big difference when you winning. Whether it's basketball, whatever it may
Mm-hmm.
be.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a big and you can not start that person when you win it, like you say.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they're gonna still show up anyway for the show, so you can
That's
start
right.
doing it. It's not a big a deal then.
That's
But
right.
that's just the way it is with that small town stuff. Sometimes stuff you gotta put up with, but. I don't know. I guess as time has changed, and I know it's changed, especially looking at the way we played back then and the way they're playing now, even in high school. I know the team that from Murfreesboro, a couple of years back, that won the state tournament. That was that team Jawan Jennings played on, and
Mm-hmm.
he was probably third, fourth best player on that team,
Mm-hmm.
and he was good. But
Mm-hmm.
them guys, I mean, of course, I grew up in age at when you couldn't even dunk, even though it
Right.
wasn't an issue, but you couldn't even dunk the ball. These days, these guys was going around, they was throwing alley oops and stuff and slamming the ball down. I'm like, goodness, this is a
Right.
high school team, and just the look at the starting five, and you got point guards with 6'3", 6'4", and then this
Mm-hmm.
post guy was almost 7 foot in high school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a whole different game, obviously, when we were growing up too. But just to see, and like I said, they played down in Murfreesboro, the MTSU. That place was packed. Now, of course, that year they had the fortune of having another local team that made it to the finals too. So
Mm-hmm.
they had a lot of two local teams, and it was packed. Yeah, like I say, it was packed in there that day.
Oh yeah, man. It all comes down to dollars and cents. If you can put them butts in the seats,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what these folks always get caught up with the professional league. The professional league is in it to make money.
Yeah, it's a business.
That's a business. It ain't about who the best team is and all. You know what? If it's gonna better the business for certain people to win, that's who's gonna win. There's a degree of competitiveness in there if teams are all there. But I mean, you just look at it. The years when uh, Kevin Durant and old boy for the Clippers was here with Oklahoma City, they wasn't ready for no championship, but they had just moved here, small market team. They were trying to get them established. They didn't have no championship team, but they made it to the final
Mm-hmm.
because they saw to that. Because that was going to be a moneymaker. New team, and plus you got a Bud and a superstar right there. And Durant, he was showing that. We need to showcase him. And Westbrook was trying to be one with them bricks that he was laying up there. And that whole team, they had Harden. Can't think of that African brother's name that was playing good. And so that was a money making thing. They didn't have nothing coming out of the East because the East was weak. After they lost Patrick Ewing, they were done over there. They wasn't gonna win nothing. So hey, it's about making that money. It's like I've been saying for years. They did it a little bit this year. They had some 3-0s. It used to be everything was going at least 6.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everything was going to be 6 games because you losing too many purses out there by being swept. So it's about business.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I ain't watched the game yet. I
Mhm.
just sort of listened to the
You ain't
what's
missed
going
nothing.
on, and when the Lakers got down, I said, the Lakers ain't gonna be swept. I said, there's no way they're gonna let the Lakers be
Exactly.
swept. They're gonna try to keep them on life support as long as they can, just because of LeBron and
Yep.
the name, the
Yep.
Lakers. I said, no, they ain't gonna be swept. But to me, the NBA is one of those teams that, quite a few years ago, uh, realized that it was a business, and they had no
Yep.
problem with the bench and the team being 90% black and the stands being 90% white. You
Yep.
know, they had no problem with that, and it's pretty much been that way forever. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we go out and we're the stars on the team, but the majority of people in the stands are white people.
Yes, sir.
But they never had a problem with that. 'Cause like you say, it was a business. They didn't care what if they had been red people in the stand, they didn't care.
That's right.
It was the bid. Who was coming in and paying the money. We could care less who's in the color of the people in the stand, the color of people on the court. Now, like you say, that's changed a little bit with some more of the European players coming in than being so much predominantly black in the day. But that wasn't a problem. They'd give some free tickets out to the Boys and Girls Club and have a spatter and a black sitting up there in the nosebleed section.
Yeah.
Other than that, nah, we don't have a problem with the stands being pretty much lily white and the players being almost all black. As long as they're paying the money, we don't care.
Well, like the white man said, aren't y'all all entertainers? So that's the usual. They used to fill the stand to see Jack Johnson get whipped, and he beat all them little dudes come up there. And but yeah, man, we need not lose sight, of what it really is. We get caught up in the glam and the glory, and not understand what it's about, because even the bottom line. I mean, I look at these brothers in here. Everybody thinking, well, they do make a lot of money. They make a lot of money, but if they're making a lot, think about the haul that dude is owning them and all his little administration is making.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
So,
you ain't in it to pay the players all the money. The franchise make nothing.
That's right. The team is worth $80 billion, and your payroll is $5 million. I'll take that return.
Yeah. It ain't nothing about that. It's all a matter of you wouldn't be in it if you wasn't making the money with the TV revenues and all that other stuff they got going on. They making their money.
And the store they got up there with them overpriced ass jerseys and jackets.
And people paying that price every day.
Every day.
Every day.
And then make you pay to park there.
Yeah.
So they making money.
Yeah, they do make a lot of money, both the owners and the players. Yeah, it would have been nice to be able to have thought about Nike back in the day. Oh, well, that's life. Well, we hope you enjoyed this edition. Please join us next time for Old Fools Talking Old School. Until then, this is Mickey G. Peace.